Hello, Sherianna. I am so excited to have you here. Oh my goodness, you are amazing. I love all your books. I cannot believe how many books you've written. And you are a psychology professor, former school psychologist. You've been teaching yoga and meditation for over 20 years. And your new book, Energy in Action, releases in 2023. I'm super excited to talk to you. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. And I can't wait to get started. Please share with everybody a little bit about you to start out.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. That nice warm welcome. You kind of said it. I've been writing books for a while now, and I teach very part-time psychology, but the bulk of my work on a daily basis is teaching people how to process and feel their emotions. I mean, that's where I've been diving into for the last several years. And you can kind of see that threaded throughout all of the books, different angles of how to process your emotions and the benefits of that.
And that's so powerful because, I grew up where it's like, oh, don't cry, here's an ice cream. So tell us, where did this begin for you, Sherianna? What got you into psychology? Did you have any personal experiences as a child that you...
I was always drawn to the field, really. I have lots of personal experiences for sure. I think my mother was throwing psychology books at me left and right because she was so worried about how much they were screwing us up.
Oh,
So
she was a smart woman. Your mother.
she did. It worked, actually. So we were always having these conversations about psychology and spirituality long before it was popular. And also receiving in the mail, we used to get the catalogs, and the catalogs had the psychology books and the latest and the greatest. And I just remember always looking and being excited about what we were going to read next and things like that.
So cool. That's so amazing. I love it. Now, so when you mentioned spirituality, so are your books, because I've seen your books in the bookstore, Emotional Detox, super popular. Your newest book is out.
Yeah, it's out. Yeah, Energy in Action is out.
Energy in Action. I'm so excited to hear about that. And I'm probably going to get that book because that's everything I'm all about, because I'm currently manifesting. I'm currently coaching and doing all the things that bring me joy, and I'm healing all these things. So tell us about like your background on religion now. Were you always spiritual, and do your books kind of have the spiritual thing in there too?
Definitely. Yeah, they definitely do. I would say yes. I've always been spiritual, and I think my mother was very spiritual. And they tell me, when parents tell you about memories of your childhood, they tell me that I was very spiritual. I would be the kid that would take myself to church, which is kind of weird. And I would go to all different churches. That was me. I didn't favor one over the other. I mean, I definitely had some opinions about some services versus others. And so now I lean more into spirituality rather than religion kind of thing.
Yeah.
And exploring all the different avenues.
Yeah. And then have you personally manifested a lot in your life from all the things? Because it sounds like you're, pretty much an expert. You're teaching, wrote a book on it. So do you have anything you want to share?
I always say that we're always manifesting something. So that never changes. So it isn't an on-off switch. Sometimes we kind of have this idea like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to manifest, or this month I'm going to manifest. We always are manifesting something. I think what happened to me with Energy in Action so this one is my 10th book, is I really just felt like I wanted to get off the treadmill. And I'd been in publishing. I published 9 books before that. So it's been about 12 years in that publishing world. And it's a runway. It's a treadmill, and there's so much involved. And I just thought to myself, I don't want to do it like I used to do it anymore. I'm not interested in that. And I really want to focus on manifesting and creating in a new way where I don't have to number one, burn out my finances, pour money into it, because you hear a lot about investing and all of that. And I've done all of that, my fair share of sort of quote unquote, invest in yourself. And then I also didn't want to compare myself to others anymore. I just kind of thought, yeah, okay, great. That person's doing this, this, and this, but guess what? I don't have to do that. And so it was me sort of my way of saying, you know what, guys, I'm out. I'm out. That's great. If you want to continue on that treadmill, go for it.
Are you referencing the whole book writing thing?
Launching, marketing, everything.
Yeah, I'm learning through just even Carmen what is involved with writing a book, and another spiritual coach of mine where she talks about the process being so long. So you decided you're done being on that treadmill and you decided you're going to create a new book and manifest. Go ahead.
So what really happened was so I've written 3 books on emotional detox. And I developed Cleanse, which you and I were talking about a few minutes ago. So emotional detox, just so everyone knows, is a mindset. And it's based on all your emotions matter, processing them matters more. That's my motto. All your emotions are good. And when I say good, I mean valuable, so long as they're processed. And the third tier that emotional detox is laid upon is we're not looking to get rid of your emotions. We're looking to get to them. And then, of course,
right,
get to them. And so, because we cover them up with reactions. And so then the natural question after that becomes, well, how do I do that? And that's where Cleanse came to be, which is an acronym. So everyone who's listening, we're talking about an acronym for the 7 steps for learning how to process your emotions. So I've been doing this for a while. And I thought to myself, when I look at manifesting, I thought, okay, that's really interesting. Everybody's focusing on change your thoughts, right? But what I find when you process your emotions, when you truly process them, your thoughts get changed for you automatically.
Yes.
So I thought, it's really hard for me to sink into this old ways when I know emotional processing kind of will create all of that, create that ripple. So I thought, oh, gosh, I need to create a new book on manifesting, because now I see it from a different angle. Mm-hmm. So that's where energy and action is actually my definition for manifesting.
Well, that's what emotion is, energy in motion. Right. I mean, I remember hearing Tony Robbins say this, years ago. I was listening to him for 30 years being in sales. But yeah, energy in motion is emotion. And your book is
energy in action,
which is action. And it's basically saying it's all about energy. It's all energy.
So the inner movement of energy. Yes. So basically this book says, okay, let's take a break from focusing on what we want and changing our thoughts. And instead, let's focus on moving that energy.
And feeling, right? Also,
feeling. Well, that's all part of it. So emotions, it's everything. So the cleanse. So I wrote 52 cleanses. They're in this energy in action. And what that does is it encourages you to process your emotions. And what I did was I coupled every single cleanse with a spiritual law of the universe, because the laws all teach us how to manifest. And we've been focusing primarily on that one law, which is the law of attraction. But that's kind of like focusing on one family member and forgetting about the rest. One gets all the attention. And whereas it's the whole unit together, when they work together, that's really when manifesting happens. So every cleanse
happens. Yeah,
corresponds with a spiritual law.
Yeah. I just learned, and I just taught a class yesterday at my brokerage, my first class, and I loved it. It was a masterclass on manifesting your ideal client. And it was just packed with so much good stuff. But I knew that the law of attraction is always on. So anything that's happening, you are attracting into your life. So yeah, I totally agree on that. But yeah, there's so many other universal laws. And it's so powerful to learn about them, and realize how much power we actually have to co-create.
I actually think, Linda, I think the laws teach us how to process emotions. That's what I think they do. So once I really looked at each one of them and wrote about them. I wrote about them for the lenses. Okay, what does this law teach us about our emotions? And basically, I think they teach us about emotional processing.
Okay. Tell us what you meant when you said that you're not going to be on the tread. Like, how was this book different for you instead of the struggle and the investing? Like, how did this book show up differently for you, lighter, easier? Because you talked
Well,
to,
I had to redefine action.
okay.
I did. I had to really look at, okay, what does action mean to me now? Because what I notice is that when we're not processing our emotions, we're actually burning our energy out much quicker. So
Okay.
it's almost like we're doing 2, 3, 4 jobs at once. So for example, I was talking to someone about, they were at work and they had a lot of anxiety at work. But then once we really uncovered what was happening, was this person struggles a little bit with depression and then goes to work and has to manage the depression in an environment where there's a lot of stimulation, there's a lot of demands. And so naturally what happens is anxiety kicks in, because anxiety will try to pump us with some adrenaline to help us get through that. But what ends up happening is it just turns into this big cycle of a collapse, exhaustion kind of thing. So I think that when we really start to learn how to process our emotions, and then what we do is we build resiliency so that when we go into those situations, we go in with our gas tank full.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we're not spinning our wheels, working our butts off, trying to make money, right? Because a lot of people are just working 2, 3 jobs, or maybe their job is being a parent or a caregiver, and they're working those 2, 3 jobs, or managing the household. So however those 2, 3 jobs look, that's what many of us do, and hope that we can get where we want to be. That's the treadmill that I wanted to get off.
I got it. Okay. So let's see. Do you believe that if you don't process your emotions, they will manifest in the body with physical illness, physical pain? Because I've had several guests, healers on my show, who therapists, healers, and manifesting coaches that believe that 100%.
I do. I do believe that. I think we don't have to complicate it, for sure. But yes, I think emotions definitely, I mean, we know on a biochemical level, they affect our levels of inflammation. There's absolutely no doubt about it. That is science. So if
Yeah.
you look at the anatomy of emotions, they impact inflammation. And wherever there's inflammation, there's gonna be something that could possibly manifest from that: tension, pain, whatnot, headaches, backaches, all that stuff. And also the emotions from a biochemical standpoint influence your blood flow, and they influence your circulation. And so that we know is going to have an impact on you. And they influence the cellular turnover. So we need the cellular turnover to change our perception and things like that. So yes, absolutely, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important not to get too stuck in those stories. I think, yes, we can acknowledge them, but that's what I love about cleanse. And I think you're a little bit familiar with cleanse too, is that you don't want to get so buried in, oh, okay, I've got so many emotions and look at all those problems I have. And all
Yeah,
these.
overwhelmed. No, you take one at a time.
Yeah, you just don't, the answer is yes, but at the same time, it's okay. You can process those emotions and you can start to make those changes in your body.
Yeah, let's go through the cleanse. So cleanse, the C is for clearing.
Mhm.
The L is look inward. The E is emit. A is activate joy. N is nourish. S is surrender. And E is ease. Can you just run through a little bit of
Sure.
what?
So clear reactivity is the first step. They always start at the top. They always start with the C and end with the E, and they go in a row because each step supports each other. It's kind of like I kind of look at it like a slide. And at the end of that slide, you're going to start to move into that space of surrender. So at the top, the C is about clear reactivity, which is, and this is all mindful tools where we have to take the body out of fight, flight, freeze response. And we know that we can do that through mindful tools and techniques. And I always give many, many variations so that you can kind of feel the one that works for you. Plus, it's good to change it up, kind of like changing up your exercise. You don't want to do the same thing all the time, right? So L is look inward. And that's where we identify the emotion without revisiting, without rehashing. Because whenever we rehash, revisit, we're going to go back to trauma, right?
So
and then
where you're the observer.
You can, there is actually specific STEM sentences that I feed people to. It's kind of like tapping, tapping has some statements, but I do mine a little bit differently. And so we identify and then we breathe. There's some breath work in there. That's going to start to move the energy a little bit. And then the third step is called E, which is emit, which is mantra, which is a sound, because we know that sound moves energy, sound vibration. And then A is activate. And what you're doing now is you're getting over a bridge. So you've toned your vagus nerve, that clear reactivity. So you take yourself out of fight or flight, identify the emotion without rehashing, add some sound vibration. Now you're going to have some calming effects on the body. Now you're preparing for the A, activate, which is like, okay, now where am I heading? Right? If I'm not in fear, then I'm moving towards peace, and there's many variations to create that activation piece. And in energy and action, that's where I put in what's called the rays of light. So the rays of light they're sourced they come from source energy, God. They're high vibrational frequencies. They're not just color. Colors have measurement. Rays of light are infinite, unlimited possibilities. And that's why I included them in this book. This is the only one that has them to help people manifest, because manifesting, you've got to fill your tank. If you're focusing on what you're looking to create and you're half empty, it's going to feel like more work.
Yeah. When you talk about fill your tank, are you talking about self-care, meditate?
Well, here I'm talking about the rays.
Yeah. Taking
so A is activate, and that's where we're going to take in vibration through, in this book, teach people how to take in through the rays of light. So now think about it. We have light, we have sound, we have breath, we have mindful practices. Yeah, we have awareness with identifying emotions. So now we're in the A, the color. So what I've done, Linda, Spirit told me this. I was guided, pair every ray of light with a spiritual law. So for example, with the law of attraction, it's interesting. I've kind of trained myself. When someone says to me, tell me about the law of attraction, the first thing that pops in my mind is yellow. Oh, that's the yellow ray of light. Yellow ray of light carries vibrational frequencies of inner strength, resilience, courage. It's like the sun, makes everything grow, everything expand, yellow ray of light. So you take that, and I teach people how to take in that energy into your body. Now you're ready. So now you're at the N, you're getting nourished by it. Just like you sit out in the sun, then you move into the S, which is surrender. And I feed people some statements for that. Now you've got affirmations, which we know change the brain and support manifesting. And then E is the I am, which is the I am presence, which is the embodiment and integration, which we know with manifesting, you want to feel it. You don't want to think about it. You want to feel it. So these practices help you do that.
Tell us how you learned all of this. Besides, who's your spiritual teachers? Who do you study? Joe Dispenza, did Deepak Chopra? I mean, who are you?
All of the
Who are your
above.
mentors? All of the above? Okay. Yeah, just
A little
curious.
bit from everybody. Much of it, I will tell you, Emotional Detox, I channeled. That was the beginning of sort of me going off on my own a little bit.
That's incredible.
So yeah. But that's also, I was in my own trauma. So I was in stillness. Very often when you're hit with trauma, you have to sit still.
So that was
and
the
hear.
the underlying blessing. So I
That
always
was the
believe that,
blessing.
yeah.
Cleanse is sort of a blend of everything. I wrote a book on mantras, so I knew there was going to be a mantra in it. I studied energy medicine and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I think it's been so many different influences.
I think,
But I think, go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, every underlying perceived to be negative experience seems to have an underlying blessing always, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. 'Cause, I just know that every perceived to be negative experience tends to have a blessing. So that book manifested from your trauma, right? The Emotional Detox.
Well, it's like, it was interesting, Linda, because I'll never forget. Well, I've been teaching yoga for over 20 years now. And for years, I taught at the local YMCA for years. So I remember distinctly walking out of the YMCA. I had my yoga mat under my arm, and I was walking out with one of my friends, and my friend she's an editor, and we have a lot in common in the book stuff. So I look at her and I said, Emotional Detox. And she said, what? And I was like, that's my next book. What do you think? She's like, I like it. I like the title. I was like, I do too. So then I went to the publisher. What do you think about Emotional Detox? We like it. We like it. Go ahead, start researching. Okay. So I start doing all the research. I'm looking into trauma, emotions, all this stuff for about 5 weeks. And then I was nailed. I was nailed with this most horrible news of my life. That was my, experience. So it was almost like I knew before the trauma, you know what I mean? It's like something was guiding me to, okay, you're going to research emotions, you're going to research trauma.
What you needed for yourself.
Not knowing, and you're going to get hit with a really tough situation.
Yeah, I think I heard, is this when your husband was cheating or something?
Yes.
Okay. You tell the story somewhere because I heard it.
Emotional Detox. I tell the story. So it was at that point I was like in therapy, and I'm listening to the therapist, and I had to go a few therapists to find the right one, because the whole time I'm sitting there going, okay, but the research says this and the research says that, and I know you want me to do this and that, but I'm like conflicted. Do I listen to this person? Do I follow everything I just researched? What do I do? I finally find a therapist that I really enjoyed, worked with her for about 6 months. And then for whatever reason, one day we're in therapy, she gets a phone call. She has to take the phone call. Before she took the phone call, she asked me a question. She said, and so I'm sitting there thinking, okay, how am I going to answer the question when she gets back? And at that point, I heard like this voice, and I was like, that's not my voice. It was a voice. And the weird part is, as much as I adored her, I left therapy, said, thank you very much. I remember distinctly walking to my car, and I said to myself, that's the last time I'm going.
Okay.
Which is really weird. That's the last time I'm going to therapy. And I don't know how that thought, any of that even came up, because normally you have closure and and I went home and I said, okay, I'm going to listen to whatever that voice was. And that ended up being the voice of the cleanse.
So what did the voice tell you when you were there while she's on the call?
It told me not to answer the question.
Okay.
Now that means nothing to anybody else, right. But I understand now. I had to go sit with myself to figure out what that meant. Okay. And that would be a step in the cleanse. Because I'm asking, how am I going to answer that question? Right. And the voice was like, you don't have to. What if you don't answer that question?
Okay. And then are you going to share what the question was?
Oh, I don't remember what she asked
Oh,
me,
okay.
but no, it had nothing to do with the question. It had to do with the fact that the next step of the cleanse, I was going to teach people how to process emotions without answering the questions.
Gotcha.
Okay. Because a lot of people will say, okay, well, how did that make you feel? And automatically they're going to go into their brain, right? And they're going to pull up anger and labels and da da da. And I teach people how to, because you can get stuck in that. It's not to say identifying emotions doesn't have value. It does, but I always say cleanse first. Then, if you want to talk about it after, because a lot of times what you're talking about is actually a reaction. It's not even an emotion.
Sounds like you like cracked a code, basically. Like, do you follow Gabby Bernstein at all?
I'm familiar. I don't. Here's
She's
why.
written-
I don't want to copy other
No,
people's
no,
work.
it's not
Yeah,
about copying. It's
yeah,
just, I don't
yeah,
copy. I mean,
yeah,
I take
yeah,
what I like. I just was asking because her newest
yeah.
book, Happy
She's
Days.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Then she's
yeah,
in the process. I went to see her live a few weeks ago in Tampa, and she's actually writing her newest book is called Self-Help, and self being your higher self,
yeah,
your
yeah.
spirit. Anyway,
Nice.
no, I was just
Yeah,
curious
no,
if you
she's
follow.
wonderful. I'm careful because I don't want to accidentally pull from other people.
Yeah.
It's just my own process. So I do
She's just
research
done
and
a lot of healing. She's just always
yeah, yeah, no, she's
like
wonderful.
she's been
Yeah,
one of my huge mentors from just saying that everything's okay. I mean, she is so successful, so beautiful, has a great family, appears everything. And she's like, I'm in my therapy office every Wednesday at 5:30, and she tells that to everybody. So like, I just love her. And I actually never had a therapist my entire life until my 55th birthday that happened in April. And I was like, okay, something's happening here. I'm going to get one. And I mean, I had it for a short period. It helped. And I'm also
yeah,
in the process of healing some things. And that's where I know that everything you're saying is so true, because healing certain stories, emotions, trauma creates just so much new and so much, the law of attraction obviously is always on and everything's feedback, but I'm getting a lot of positive feedback right now in my life. Like things are happening and I'm just going with the flow. I'm being very present. I'm being versus doing and letting go, and the codependency, all the things. I mean, just letting go, surrendering, being with myself, whole and complete, all the things, not needing anything. And it's just powerful. And it's that surrender and that ease, and then nourishing myself with self-love, like deep, deep falling in love with myself and my life. Anyway, so that's why I'm saying, like, it's just so powerful. Like your book, it sounds amazing. Energy in Action. So it is out. Is it at Barnes and Noble? Is it
oh
out?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Because a lot of the
yeah.
books are on Amazon. They're not
And,
necessarily.
well, Amazon too. Yeah,
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 but I mean, I'm excited. I'm gonna,
yeah.
'cause
I'd be interested to hear what you think.
absolutely. Oh my gosh. What do you think about NLP, neuro linguistic programming? Have you done any research on that?
I have, yeah, I've actually done trainings in it. I've been certified in different things. I think it's great. I think it's all part of it, reprogramming the subconscious mind and all of that. So definitely, I think all these little pieces are important and it's a wonderful tool for people to have.
Yeah, awesome. So where are you in the world? Where are you in the world?
I'm in Massachusetts, Cape Cod.
Beautiful. And
Yeah.
are you remarried and all that?
Oh no, I stayed with my husband.
Oh, you stayed. Oh, I didn't hear the whole story. I was just catching it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I have a wonderful marriage. It is like being remarried because the marriage
Oh,
I had before is I have the marriage I would have always wanted.
oh,
Yeah.
that's
It's a beautiful
amazing.
marriage.
Will you
Yeah.
share your
I really do.
story?
I'm not just saying that. I really do.
No,
And
I
yeah,
love.
yeah. But it's all, it really, this is all I did was cleanse, cleanse and cleanse. But
You
yeah,
share this, do you care to share the story a little bit, Sherianna? Like just a little bit of like just kind of the summary of what happened and how you transformed your marriage and created what you created in this,
Yeah. I mean, it's basically, I mean, people have heard when it's such a thing. It's like a symptom when you find out that your partner is having an affair. And I had thought that was happening for a long time. And now I know that my gut was right. A lot of times us men and women, we know something and we ignore it and we deny it and we turn to work or we turn to other things and we make ourselves busy and all of that stuff. So I talk about an emotional detox. So if people want to read about it, they can read about a little bit of the juicy details there. But I've known my husband my whole life since I was 12, and we've been married 25 years. And I never ever in my life imagined that would happen to us because we have all the same friends and we're from the same town. So he's like my life, my world, so it was pretty devastating. And I don't think he thought I would stay with him. But before, again, I think all of my information about emotions and also re-traumatizing, I was conscious enough to know how to handle the situation without re-traumatizing myself over and over and my children. I mean, it was such a mindful process for me to go through. I mean, if there was a time for inner strength to come through, it did.
Oh,
Because
I'm looking at you and you're a hero of mine. I'm staring at you like, oh, I just respect and admire your, ability to forgive, ability to, to surrender and to also like just everybody, we're imperfect beings, but I don't know any of the details really, just caught some of it. I was listening to something. Was I listening to one of your podcasts or your something? But yeah, I mean, that's just, so how long ago was that?
Well, that was back in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, 2016. And yeah, I mean, it's my, what's that?
You've healed and grown and evolved, and now you have this beautiful marriage that,
Absolutely. I mean, I have no worries, that's for sure. And he is a different person. I mean, he's the person I knew he could be inside. And so he's extremely spiritual. I mean, he's very devoted. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I just walked upstairs because we both work out of the house and does his office is upstairs. I'm in the basement. And literally he's wearing rosary beads around his neck because he prays so much. And I'm like, you have your rosary. He just wears them like a necklace. He's extremely spiritual, very and he could talk all about that. Someday maybe I'll have him talk about it on his side, because I think there's a whole nother side of that. He could sort of, I don't want to speak for him, but he truly is an incredible man. I mean, because that's not easy to face, to know, and then to have to face your family and your community and and he, both of us, we're very brave.
Yeah, very brave. And you know what? That's just one thing that I learned, like that just everything's okay. Like we're always just, worrying about judgment of others and judgment. It's just, I'm so over that. And really it's just living your authentic life, being your authentic self. You're not going to have everybody liking you. You're not going to have, it just doesn't work. Like I just went through a big course with Kathy Heller and I went to her retreat and she's like, the best restaurant, there's still bad reviews. The best movie is still going to have people that don't like it. It's like, you're not going to get everybody. You want your people, we don't need to please everybody. We're not here to please everybody. We're here to be our authentic selves. And, what do you think why we're here? One rabbi said, we're here to learn and teach. Some say we're here to learn and grow and help others. So tell us what you think as a spiritual being, as an author of 10 books, super intelligent woman. I totally imagine you're educated, you've got all the things, and then the yoga and training. And So tell us you're a healer. So why do you think we're here?
I think we're here to feel. That's what I think. I think we're here to feel. And with feeling comes growth. With feeling comes purpose. With feeling comes contribution and learnings and lessons and wisdom. I think we're here to feel.
That's so crazy. That's amazing. I was at an acupuncturist a few years ago back in Michigan. I just changed my whole life and moved to Florida last year. And she said, your heart's blocked. Your heart's blocked. And I was like, what is she talking about? Which now, as I've grown and evolved and healed and educated myself on so much, I'm like, yeah, my heart's been covered. My heart's been shielded I'm just now healing it all, like honestly, and letting love in. And, it's like this whole thing where, you can have these like, beliefs, or negative thoughts around, I'm aware. I'm very self-aware, and I've been self-aware. I mean, that's really the very first thing I think on your cleanse too, is just knowing, being aware, because you're not going to fix or change anything if you're not aware. So, and then you can take the actions to heal and,
That first step is all about awareness. It's really the clear reactivity is knowing that I'm in a space of reactivity. This is not a feeling, because if I were feeling, I always say, if you're truly feeling and processing an emotion, you would feel calm. You would feel centered. You would feel grounded. You would feel connected. It's the reactions. It's the coping and the managing, all of that. That's all makes us numb. And that's really what happened in my marriage, is we were surviving like a lot of people do. And you get numb. And when you get numb, you lose your bearings, you lose yourself. You do things.
People are always numbing their pain with alcohol or drugs or whatever they're doing.
Exactly.
They don't realize.
You lose yourself, and we all do it. And it's just a different version of it. That's all.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll be vulnerable and share that I have come aware to know that one of the things that I'm still healing is, and I'm aware is eating for emotion, and I'm feeling a lot of feelings lately out of nowhere, just like crying. And I'm like, okay. And I just feel it and it goes away. So that's a question that came to mind when you were talking earlier about processing emotions. Tell us, like, one person might take 5 minutes to process and someone else could take much longer, right? Depending on what we're talking about. But like grieving, obviously grieving is a process. Someone dies or something, right? But like, or even a divorce could be grieving, or like a friendship ending. I mean, there's so many things that could be a grieving situation. But tell me about that, like the individual it's the individual, like the processing. Like I'm a recovering codependent, I'm recovering people pleaser, all the things.
Yeah, I think that everybody does truly go at their own pace, and that's important to recognize that we're all going to bloom. We may not all bloom at the same time, but we're all going to bloom. And so in terms of what's important, I think, is just consistency. So not so much how much time, because I know that's like, no one feels like they have enough time. It's more important to be consistent. And here's why, because if you're not consistent, meaning you don't have a daily practice where you really actually carve out some time to feel, what will happen is your body will view emotions as a threat. And that's when you can turn to other things like eating food. So it's like, okay, don't feel that. Oh, it's coming. Right.
I mean, I
And
wasn't
so,
even aware, and then all of a sudden you're eating and you're like, what is happening
yeah,
here? Like,
yeah. And it becomes habitual, becomes a habit, unconscious.
habit, for
Yeah. So that's why I think to really break a habit, you kind of have to create a new habit, a routine, something where you choose to process every day. And everybody's different. It's funny because years ago I had a summit. It was called the Emotional Detox Summit. And I think I interviewed like, gosh, maybe 50 people. They were all authors and all that. And the one that people use the most, I asked everybody, how do you process your emotions? All of them. And most of them said I journal,
It's
which
so,
was interesting.
it's really good. I
A
love
lot of
journaling.
people love the journaling. I don't journal, but maybe because I'm a writer and I'm always writing something. So perhaps that's why I don't favor it, because I need to take a break from writing. But so for me, it's cleanse. Every morning I get up, the first thing I do is cleanse.
Yeah.
Every morning. I don't miss a day.
Give us an example. Tell
Hmm.
us your morning routine if you would share.
Yeah. So I wake up and I get my coffee, and I get up pretty early. So this morning I got up at 5. That's pretty early. Normally 5:30 is the time I get up. And I grab my coffee, and then I have a seat. Have a few different areas I sit, and I go through the cleanse steps first thing. And I process whatever. And the thing is, you have to remember that once you have a night's sleep and you wake up the next day, you realize there perhaps were things that happened the day before that you never really fully processed. And they kind of show up in the cleanse often in the morning. So, for example, I can't remember what I cleansed on this morning.
So you
I
don't
don't
just
remember.
sit in meditation, light some candles, sit in meditation, silence the mind.
Sometime,
You
yeah,
don't,
I might do that as an add-on. I always do the cleanse. And I sometimes, honestly, I'll take energy and action, and I'll just open it up and I'll go through one of the cleanses.
yeah. Oh, that's cool. How
And
many cleanses
because
are
some
there? That's awesome.
there's 52 in there.
Oh,
And I
that's
will literally, like, I have it here. I will go in because I'm always kind of curious intuitively. So energy and action is my definition for manifesting. And it's basically your emotions and intuition and flow. So when your emotions or intuition are in flow, then you're in a state of manifesting. So, like, for example, I'll give you one example. There's one cleanse in here for acceptance. I put that one under the law of compensation. So the spiritual law of compensation is about abundance. It's about receiving. It's about balance. So I also correspond that the law of compensation is with the ray of green light. Green is abundant. Think of like the grass, abundant energy. So there's a practice in here where it's going to take me through, and I'm going to download that, really integrate. Like I said, manifesting, it's not always about looking out. You have to build yourself up. So that practice is moving my emotions, developing my intuition. At the same time, I'm downloading acceptance. I'm downloading the green ray of light, which is all about truth and healing and abundance. And it's a wonderful ray. And I take that into my system. Now, if I have time to do a meditation after that, yeah, sure. I might do a meditation. It depends on the day. It depends. I'm writing another book right now. So right now I typically go write.
That's awesome.
And so if
Yeah.
I'm not writing a book, I'll probably meditate or something like that. So that's how my morning looks, but I don't miss a day for sure.
Incredible. Yeah, journaling's very powerful. I will also do it if there's things bothering you, and getting it onto the paper, it does help. And but yeah, tell me how important and what are your thoughts on self-compassion, and how self-compassion is, like, this is another huge, we are our worst critics or inner critic. We have those things. But what I tell people, because I am also a coach, is that when we want to like say I overate and then I'm gonna have the shame or I'm gonna like feel bad. It's like, no, that's when I need to be most compassionate with myself. Tell me your opinion on self-compassion. Is that something you talk about or?
Sure. So I think sometimes in that situation, if you ate something and then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have ate that or whatever, and you beat yourself up or did something, I think it's an opportunity to clear something coming up. And I do think that one of the reactions that we can benefit from clearing is punishing ourselves, telling ourselves we're bad or we did something wrong or we're not good enough. And people do that all the time. And so once you clear that punishment or that somehow you're bad, you're not enough, or you screwed up, or whatever it is. There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Once you process those things and you're clearing the reaction. So the reaction would be punishment, maybe self-sabotage, maybe it's a lot of stuff in there. And then you get those emotions running, which when emotions are in a processing state, what ends up happening is your energy goes up. So vibration increases. And as vibration goes up, now we're working more easily according to the spiritual laws. So we process the emotion, the energy goes up, and then we add in again with the energy in action, I add in the rays of light, because a lot of this stuff, quite frankly, goes back generations.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like these tools that it's not, I know it can feel like, oh, I'm such a screw up or whatever, but the likelihood is if you're having those intense reactions, there's probably something in the line.
Yeah.
So it's not your fault. And I think we have to stop blaming ourselves and putting so much pressure on ourselves. Like so much of this stuff has been carried through
generations.
the
Absolutely.
family lines. That's why it's important to bring these rays in, and why I was guided to, because we're clearing on a much deeper level. The other thing I want to make sure I say before we end is that after writing this on manifesting, I believe that manifesting was never for the me, it's for the we. So what that means is we are clearing patterns that are been collecting over time. So everybody can have and manifest what it is that they create. So it's kind of like falls into the power of people when we have people collectively doing something together, like intention setting or prayer groups. There's research on this where people who have meditated over water and they've purified the water, or they've done meditation in areas. There's been studies on crime where people get together and they do a certain meditation, and the crime reduction was reduced by like 44%. It was pretty significant. Yeah, cancer cells. So when you think of manifesting, you got to think in those terms, everyone. You can't get too singular because you're going to miss the boat, because these laws don't function that way. They're really from sort of that law of oneness where we're all one. So if we can expand that manifesting, you're going to be blessed for that, for sure.
Yeah, it's a universal law. And like, that's why this podcast, is my kind of service, bringing value. I'm helping you. I'm helping my community. They're listening. This is just also the we thing. And when I help you, I'm helping me. And when you help me, you're helping yourself. So it's just true. And the retreat I went on, we did a ceremony thing where we kind of broke those generational stories and let, cut some cords, and it was pretty powerful. So yeah, this has been amazing. Is there anything else you want to share? So are you taking on clients, or tell us what you offer not besides, I know you have these amazing books, but tell us what else. Do you do one-on-one clients?
I do. I have clients. Everything's at Sheriannaboyle.com. I do retreats. I have a retreat, next May for Portugal. I just started open registration up for that in the Azores. I've weekend retreats on there as well. One's in New York State. And then I have a course, and I have a membership, I have all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff
all kinds of
that
stuff.
I do. It's what I teach. So if you want to experience it, practice it, I get on live on Zoom and we cleanse every Tuesday night.
Okay. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
what's every Tuesday night?
Every Tuesday night we do 30-minute cleanse.
Oh,
So I just kind of see what's coming up to be cleansed for the group. Every Wednesday at noon I cleanse. And
nice.
these are 30 minutes. And it's really just, it's like a container for people. It gives you the structure. You get familiar with cleansing.
Yeah.
Really is making a difference for people. People they miss it when they can't come. I get emails and they say, I've been missing it. I can tell when I'm not coming. It's kind of like when you're not going to therapy or something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, even just the Boca retreat, the 3 days, just the space, the energy, the women, it was so powerful. You were, it was all love. It was like all love.
Sounds
And
wonderful.
yeah,
Wow.
I'm getting the download now while talking to you because I've been wanting to go to Sedona. I'm like, why don't I create a retreat in Sedona?
That's right. Yeah, I think that would be perfect.
Yeah,
Why not?
I know. Have you been there?
I have not. I've been hearing about it. I have not.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
not. Sounds
I had
lovely.
a trip planned in 2019 that got canceled. A boyfriend and I
Yeah.
broke up in April, and we were supposed to go in May. And then in 2020, I had booked a trip for me, then COVID. So
Yeah.
it's all a blessing because it's going to be this powerful experience now.
Yeah. I say go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. This was amazing. I'm going to run out and get the Energy in Action book, actually.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm excited. And the cleanses, like that's your thing,
That's what I do. Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
And
Thank
then
you.
I'll
Thanks
give you
for
a
having me
week.
on your show. Let
Oh,
me.
so good to meet you. So great. Thank you, Sherianna. And we'll stay connected for sure. And all your
Sure.
links will be in the show notes. And people can find you at sheriannaboyle.com, right?
You got it. Yep.
Okay,
Thank
awesome.
you.